Sometimes the purest intentions unleash the most devastating truths. What began as a heartfelt surprise, a spontaneous trip to Boston with my children to see their mother, swiftly plunged into a nightmare I never saw coming. One hotel door, one shattering moment of truth, and 17 years of marriage dangled precariously on the precipice of oblivion. They say what transpires behind closed hotel doors remains there, but some secrets, festering and venomous, simply refuse to stay buried. By the way, please like and subscribe if you enjoy stories like this. I am Michael Anderson, though my friends call me Mike. 50 years of age, I've spent nearly 2 decades as Rebecca's husband, and together we forged a life with 2 incredible children. Curtis, 15 and shooting skyward faster than I can grasp, and Sophie, my 10-year-old princess who still believes her dad hung the moon. That Wednesday dawned like any other during Becca's business excursions. I wrangled the children through breakfast before school, Curtis perpetually glued to his phone, Sophie toying with her cereal, and me chugging coffee as if it were the elixir of life itself. Becca had been away for 3 days on a consulting assignment in Boston, a 7-day stretch in total, far longer than her usual trips, and her absence resonated through our home. I adore my wife, and so a sudden inspiration struck me, a bolt from the blue as I watched Sophie idly push her Cheerios around her bowl. "Hey, what if we went to see Mom this weekend?" I proposed, setting down my mug. Sophie's eyes ignited like Christmas morning. "Really? We could surprise her?" "Yes," I affirmed, a thrill building within me. "We could book flights today, be there by tomorrow evening. Imagine her face when she opens her hotel door." Curtis, to my astonishment, actually lifted his gaze from his phone. "That would actually be pretty cool," he conceded, which from a teenager is akin to an ecstatic leap of joy. By midday, I'd pulled strings at work for Friday off, secured permission for the kids to miss school, and booked 3 tickets to Boston. All the while, I conjured images of Rebecca's reaction, the shock, the unbridled joy, perhaps even tears. It had been years since I'd orchestrated a surprise like this. I'd tried calling her that morning, but it went straight to voicemail, not entirely unusual during her intense consulting sessions. I dispatched a quick text. "Miss you. Kids are asking when you're coming home. Love you." No reply. A bit odd, but I rationalized it. She was likely swamped. That evening, as I packed our bags, I tried her again. Still nothing. A small knot of unease began to twist in my stomach, but I dismissed it. Boston was a whirlwind of a business conference. She was probably networking, forging connections, excelling at what she did best. The consulting world was a brutal arena, and Rebecca, a shark in high heels. As I tucked Sophie into bed that night, she clutched her favorite stuffed bunny. "Do you think Mommy will cry when she sees us?" she asked, eyes wide with anticipation. "Maybe, sweetheart," I murmured, kissing her forehead. "It's going to be the best surprise ever." I had no inkling then how tragically wrong I was. No idea that the surprise awaiting us in Boston wasn't ours to give, but rather one that would rip our family asunder. The flight to Boston, though brief, felt like an eternity. Curtis, lost in the inscrutable music of teenagers, wore his headphones like a shield. Sophie chattered incessantly about all the things she longed to tell her mother. I, wedged between them, wrestled with a growing sense of foreboding. I'd tried Rebecca's number 3 more times before we boarded. Nothing, just a direct route to voicemail, not even a single ring. I sent another text. "Hope your meetings are going well. Miss you." The delivered notification appeared, but no reply. "Dad, why are you checking your phone every 5 seconds?" Curtis asked, briefly removing his headphones. The kid missed nothing. "Just making sure our rental car is confirmed," I lied, forcing a smile. But the truth was, something felt profoundly wrong. Rebecca and I had been married for almost 20 years. We'd weathered our share of storms, like any couple, but she had never, not once, gone this long without communication, especially with the kids. Upon landing at Logan Airport, I tried one last time. Voicemail, again. This time I left a message striving for a light tone. "Hey babe, just checking in. Give me a call when you get a chance." The rental car process was a nightmare. The wrong reservation, interminable lines, Sophie needing the bathroom twice. By the time we finally navigated the car onto the road towards downtown Boston, it was well past 8 in the evening. Rush hour traffic had dissipated, but the city streets buzzed with Thursday night energy. "Dad, I'm hungry," Sophie whined from the back seat. "Me too," Curtis chimed in, finally engaged in something other than his phone. "Can we eat before we see Mom?" "Let's get to the hotel first," I said, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. "Maybe Mom can join us for a late dinner." As we neared the Marriott where Rebecca was staying, that knot in my stomach tightened. I tried calling her once more, and this time, strangely, it rang, but still no answer. The hotel's revolving doors welcomed us with a whoosh of warm air. The lobby, opulent with marble floors and soft lighting, impressed Curtis and Sophie with its upscale grandeur. My wife always stayed at such lavish establishments, courtesy of her company's expense account. "Why don't you guys wait here?" I suggested, pointing to some plush couches. "I'll check us in and find out which room Mom's in." Sophie bounced on her toes. "Can we surprise her right away?" I nodded, feigning an enthusiasm I no longer felt. "That's the plan, sweetheart." As I approached the front desk, I was utterly oblivious that I was walking towards the very moment that would irrevocably alter everything. "Good evening, sir. How can I help you?" The receptionist, a young woman with a practiced professional smile, greeted me. I cleared my throat. "I'd like to check in, and I also need to get in touch with my wife who's staying here, Rebecca Anderson." Her fingers danced across the keyboard. "Let me check that for you. One moment." A tense silence stretched. "Yes, Mrs. Anderson is staying with us. Would you like me to ring her room?" "Please," I said, relief washing over me. At least Rebecca was here. The receptionist dialed, waited, then frowned slightly. "I'm sorry, sir, there's no answer." "Can you try again?" I asked, that knot in my stomach cinching tighter. Maybe she didn't hear it. She tried once more with the same result. "I'm sorry, there's still no answer. Would you like to leave a message?" "No, that's okay," I said, handing over my credit card. "We'll just check in for now. My wife is expecting us, sort of. It's a surprise visit." A flicker of something, hesitation, crossed her face. "I see. Well, let me get you set up." She processed our reservation, then handed me 2 key cards. "You're in room 732. Mrs. Anderson is in 718. "Different floors?" I asked, confused. "No, same floor, just down the hall from each other." She paused, then added, "It looks like Mrs. Anderson checked in with a +1, though." The world stopped spinning for a dizzying moment. "A +1? What do you mean?" The receptionist's expression shifted to discomfort. "The reservation shows 2 guests in the room," I assumed. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything." I forced a laugh that sounded hollow even to my own ears. "No, that's fine. Probably a colleague sharing the room to save on expenses." But I knew better. Rebecca's company always sprang for private rooms for its consultants. It was a point of pride for them. I collected our bags and walked back to Curtis and Sophie, my mind racing. A work friend? A female colleague? Or... I couldn't bring myself to complete the thought. "Did you find Mom?" Sophie asked, bouncing with unbridled excitement. Not yet, sweetheart. Let's go up to our room first and freshen up. The elevator ride was silent, save for Sophie's incessant humming. Curtis shot me a look that silently screamed, "Something's off," but thankfully he remained quiet. Our room was nice, standard high-end hotel fare. I set the bags down and took a deep, fortifying breath. "Can we go see Mom now?" Sophie pleaded. "In a minute, I need to wash up. It's been a long day." While they were occupied, I slipped into the hallway and walked to room 718. My heart hammered against my ribs as I raised my hand to knock. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing, but I could hear movement inside, faint music, the sound of laughter. My blood ran cold. I pulled out my phone and typed, "I'm outside your hotel room door. Open up." The movement inside stopped abruptly, then a muffled male voice. I closed my eyes, suddenly sickeningly certain of what I would find on the other side of that door. The door to room 718 opened slowly, revealing Rebecca in a hotel bathrobe, her hair disheveled, face flushed. Her expression cycled through shock, fear, and finally settled on something that looked strangely like annoyance. "Jason? What are you doing here?" she hissed, stepping into the hallway and pulling the door nearly closed behind her. I stared at her, momentarily speechless. After a beat, I found my voice. "Surprise," I said flatly. "The kids and I thought we'd come see you." Her eyes widened. "The kids are here? At the hotel?" "In our room down the hall." My voice sounded distant, even to myself. "They've been excited all day to see you." Rebecca ran a hand through her hair, glancing nervously back at her door. "You should have called first, Mike. You should have called." "I did," I snapped, crossing my arms. "Multiple times. Who's in your room, Becca?" She flinched at the direct question. "It's not what you think." "Really? Because I think you have another man in there. Am I wrong?" The door opened wider and a man appeared behind her. Tall, fit, perhaps early 40s. He was buttoning up his shirt. "Becca, is everything okay out here?" My vision tunneled, focusing on the stranger who called my wife by her nickname, my nickname for her. "Who the hell are you?" I demanded, my voice dangerously quiet. "Mike, please," Rebecca started, but I cut her off. "No, I want to hear from him." I stepped closer. "Who are you and why are you in my wife's hotel room?" The man looked confused, glancing between Rebecca and me. "I'm Trevor from the Chicago office." He extended his hand automatically, then thought better of it and withdrew it. I didn't know Becca was married. The words hit me like a physical blow. I turned to Rebecca, who had the decency to look ashamed, but not ashamed enough. "You told him you were single." My voice was barely a whisper now. Rebecca closed her eyes briefly. "Can we please not do this in the hallway? Trevor, maybe you should go." "Yeah, Trevor," I echoed, my anger finding its target. "Maybe you should go." Trevor raised his hands in surrender. "Look, man, I had no idea. She never mentioned a husband or kids." He grabbed his jacket from inside the room. "I'm out of here." He hurried past us down the hallway, leaving Rebecca and me alone in a silence so thick it felt suffocating. 17 years, Becca," I finally said. 17 years, and you're picking up guys on business trips?" "It's not like that," she snapped, her shame morphing into defensiveness. "You don't understand." "Then explain it to me," I challenged. "Explain why our children flew across the country to surprise their mother, only to find her with another man." She looked away. "You should have called first." Those words, the sheer audacity of them broke something inside me. "Are you serious right now?" This isn't my fault because I didn't warn you before catching you cheating? Lower your voice, she hissed, glancing down the hallway. The kids are waiting, I said, stepping back. Sophie has been bouncing off the walls all day about seeing you. What do you want to tell her? Guilt finally seemed to register on her face. Give me 5 minutes to get dressed. I'll come to your room. I turned to walk away, then paused. How long has this been going on, Rebecca? She couldn't meet my eyes. This was just a one-time thing, a mistake. Trevor's words echoed in my head. I didn't know Becca was married. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. And as I walked back to our room to face our children, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The walk back to our room felt like crossing a desert, each step requiring enormous effort, my body suddenly heavy with the weight of what had just happened. How was I supposed to face my children now? What could I possibly tell them? I paused outside our door, taking a deep breath and forcing my face into something resembling normalcy. The keycard beeped and I pushed the door open. Dad, did you find Mom? Sophie jumped up from the bed where she'd been watching TV. Curtis looked up from his phone, eyes narrowing as he studied my expression. What's wrong? He asked immediately, too perceptive for his own good, that kid. Mom's coming in a few minutes, I managed. She was surprised to see us. Sophie clapped her hands. Is she happy? Did she cry? She was definitely surprised, I said, avoiding Curtis's searching gaze. Hey, why don't we order some room service? You guys must be hungry after the flight. Already ahead of you, Curtis said, still watching me carefully. We ordered burgers and fries. And chocolate cake, Sophie added, bouncing on the bed. I nodded, trying to smile. Perfect. A knock at the door made Sophie leap up. Mom's here. Before I could stop her, she flung open the door and launched herself at Rebecca, who stood in the hallway looking completely composed. Hair brushed, makeup fixed, wearing a professional outfit. If I hadn't seen her 10 minutes ago in a bathrobe with a half-dressed man, I would never have guessed anything was amiss. Mommy, Sophie squealed, wrapping her arms around Rebecca's waist. Ah, sweetheart, Rebecca said, hugging her back. What a surprise to see you all. Her eyes met mine over Sophie's head, and I saw the silent plea in them. Play along for the kids. Curtis hadn't moved from his spot on the bed. Hey, Mom, he said, his tone carefully neutral. Rebecca crossed the room and kissed the top of his head. Hey, buddy, you've grown since I left. I swear it's been a week, Mom, he replied dryly. An awkward silence followed, broken by Sophie's enthusiastic recounting of our journey. Rebecca listened and nodded, occasionally glancing at me, but I couldn't bring myself to meet her eyes. Dad said we could all have dinner together, Sophie finished. Room service is coming with burgers. Rebecca's smile faltered slightly. That sounds wonderful, but I actually have a work dinner tonight, important clients. I barked out a laugh that I quickly disguised as a cough. Sophie's face fell. But we came all this way to see you, she protested. I know, honey, and I'm so happy you did. I'll be all yours tomorrow, I promise. We can see the sights, do whatever you want. Rebecca turned to me. Can I talk to you in the hallway for a minute, Mike? Curtis rolled his eyes. Real subtle, Mom. I followed Rebecca outside, making sure to leave the door slightly ajar in case Sophie needed me. Work dinner? I said once we were alone. Is that what you're calling it now? Rebecca's artificial composure cracked slightly. Mike, please, I need time to figure this out. Figure what out? How to lie to your family? Because you seem to have that down pat. Rebecca flinched as if I'd slapped her. That's not fair. Not fair? I kept my voice low, mindful of the kids just inside. You know what's not fair, Rebecca? Our daughter made us check 3 different stores for her favorite travel pillow so she could bring it to you. Curtis actually put his phone down long enough to help me book the flights. Do you have any idea how excited they were to see you? Her eyes welled with tears. Mike, I made a terrible mistake. I know that. But please don't tell the kids. Not yet. So I'm supposed to pretend everything's fine? I laughed bitterly. Put on a show while you go back to your client dinner? It really is a client dinner, she insisted. Trevor won't be there. I need this account, Mike. It's worth millions to the firm. I stared at her, realizing I didn't even recognize the woman standing before me. Your career? That's what you're worried about right now? No, of course not. She rubbed her temples. I'm trying to salvage whatever I can from this disaster. Please, Mike, one night. Let me get through this dinner, and then tomorrow we can figure everything out. There's nothing to figure out, I said flatly. You cheated on me. You lied to our children. You've been living a double life, and I don't even know for how long. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. It wasn't a double life. It was one mistake. Trevor's words echoed in my head. I didn't know Becca was married. Save it, I said, turning back toward our room. Go to your dinner. I'll take care of the kids. What will you tell them? She asked anxiously. I haven't decided yet. My hand rested on the door handle. But unlike you, I don't lie to my children. Back inside, Sophie was bouncing on the bed, excitement radiating from her like sunshine. Is Mom coming to dinner with us? I swallowed hard. Not tonight, sweetheart. Mom has an important work thing she can't miss. Sophie's face fell, and the sight of her disappointment made my chest ache. But we came all this way to surprise her. I know, honey, I said, sitting beside her and pulling her close. And she was definitely surprised. She just has to finish her work first. But guess what? She's all ours tomorrow the whole day. Curtis was watching me, his expression unreadable. Where's she going tonight? A client dinner, I said, the lie tasting like acid on my tongue. Uh-huh. He looked back at his phone. Whatever. Sophie, ever the optimist, bounced back quickly. Can we go see the Boston Harbor tonight instead? My friend Emma said there are cool lights and boats. The thought of playing tourist while my marriage imploded seemed impossible, but Sophie's hopeful face broke my resolve. Sure, why not? Let's finish dinner and then check it out. Sweet! She grabbed another French fry from the room service tray. This is still the best surprise ever, Dad. Curtis caught my eye over his phone and raised an eyebrow, silently calling me on my bluff. I gave him a slight shake of my head, a promise to explain later. He nodded, almost imperceptibly. At 15, he was already more man than boy, and in that moment I was grateful for his perceptiveness. That night as we walked along the harbor, Sophie skipping ahead and pointing out every boat she saw, Curtis fell into step beside me. Mom's cheating, isn't she? He asked quietly. I nearly stumbled, caught off guard by his directness. Curtis, just tell me the truth, Dad. I'm not a kid anymore. I looked at my son, tall, serious, and suddenly so grown up. Yes, I admitted finally. I think she is. I stared at Curtis, momentarily speechless. His question hung in the air between us, impossibly adult coming from my 15-year-old son. What makes you think that? I finally asked, watching Sophie dart ahead to look at a massive yacht docked nearby. Curtis shrugged, hands deep in his pockets. The way you're acting, the way she looked at you. Plus, when you left to find Mom, you came back looking like someone died. Smart kid. Too smart. I don't want to lie to you, I said quietly, but this is complicated, adult stuff, Curtis. I'm not a child, Dad, he said firmly. I'd rather know the truth than wonder what's happening to our family. I took a deep breath, the cold harbor air filling my lungs. Yes, I admitted. I found your mother with another man. Curtis's jaw tightened, but he didn't look particularly surprised. I figured, ever since she started this consulting gig, she's been different. Always on her phone, staying late at the office, taking more business trips. A wave of nausea hit me. Had everyone seen what was happening except me? You noticed that? I asked. Yeah, and so did you probably. You just didn't want to believe it. His voice held no accusation, just a sad understanding beyond his years. Sophie called to us from up ahead, waving excitedly. Dad, Curtis, come look at this boat. It has a helicopter on it. Be right there, sweetie, I called back, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. Curtis kicked at a loose stone on the walkway. What happens now? Are you guys getting divorced? The word felt like a punch to the gut. I don't know yet, buddy. This just happened. But whatever happens between your mom and me, nothing changes how much we both love you and Sophie. He scoffed. If she loved us, she wouldn't have done this. It's not that simple, I said, though part of me agreed with him. Adults mess up sometimes, make terrible mistakes. This isn't like forgetting to pay the electric bill, Dad, Curtis said, his voice hard. She chose to cheat. We reached Sophie, who was pressed against the harbor railing, pointing at the luxury yacht. Look, it's bigger than our whole house. I lifted her onto my shoulders so she could see better, grateful for her innocent enthusiasm. Pretty impressive, huh? As Sophie chattered away about the yacht, Curtis stood slightly apart, his teenage face suddenly much older. I could see him processing everything, deciding how he felt about it all. Don't tell Sophie, he said quietly when she was distracted by a passing boat. She still thinks Mom hangs the moon. I won't, I promised. Not yet anyway. But we'll have to figure this out eventually. He nodded, then surprised me by leaning slightly against my side, the closest thing to a hug I'd gotten from him in years. We'll be okay, Dad. You, me, and Sophie. In that moment, my 15-year-old son was trying to comfort me, and it nearly broke me but also gave me strength. We would be okay somehow. Yeah, I said, putting my arm around his shoulders. We will. When we returned to the hotel, Sophie was half asleep on my shoulders, the excitement of the day finally catching up with her. Curtis walked beside us, unnaturally quiet, his earlier revelation hanging between us like a storm cloud. I'm tired, Daddy, Sophie mumbled as we entered the elevator. I know, sweetheart. We'll get you into bed soon. I pressed the button for our floor, dreading what might await us. The elevator doors opened and my heart sank. Rebecca stood outside our room door, arms crossed, tapping her foot impatiently. When she saw us, her expression morphed into concern. Where have you been? I've been calling for hours, she exclaimed. We went to see the harbor, I replied evenly, shifting Sophie on my shoulder. I left my phone in the room. Curtis brushed past his mother without a word, swiping the key card and entering our room. Rebecca's eyes followed him, confusion flashing across her face. Curtis, what's wrong, honey? He ignored her completely, the door shutting behind him. What did you tell him? She hissed at me. The truth, I said simply. He asked, and I wasn't going to lie to him. Rebecca's face paled. You had no right to do that without discussing it with me first. Lower your voice, I warned, nodding toward the half-asleep Sophie. And I had every right. You gave up your say when you decided to cheat on our family. Rebecca stepped back as if I'd slapped her. Mike, please, can we talk about this rationally? How was your dinner with the clients? Productive? She said tightly. We landed the account. Congratulations, I replied, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. Your career is certainly thriving. That's not fair. Life's not fair, Becca. Our son now knows his mother as a cheater. Our daughter is going to figure it out soon enough. Nothing about this is fair. Sophie stirred on my shoulder. Daddy, why are you and Mommy fighting? Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. We're not fighting, sweetie, just having a grown-up talk. It sounded like fighting, Sophie murmured. I rubbed her back gently. It's okay, princess. Let's get you to bed. I moved past Rebecca to enter our room, but she caught my arm. Mike, we need to talk privately. Not tonight, I said firmly. I need to put our daughter to bed. Inside, Curtis was sitting on his bed, headphones on, staring at the wall. He didn't acknowledge his mother when she entered behind me. I helped Sophie change into her pajamas and tucked her into bed, her eyelids already drooping. Good night, baby girl. Sweet dreams. Night, Daddy. Night, Mommy, she mumbled, already half asleep. Rebecca stood awkwardly at the foot of Sophie's bed, clearly unsure of her place in this new family dynamic. Good night, sweetheart, she whispered, leaning down to kiss Sophie's forehead. Once Sophie was asleep, Rebecca gestured toward the door. Can we talk in my room, please? I glanced at Curtis, who had his back to us, shoulders rigid. Will you be okay? I asked him quietly. He pulled one headphone off. I'm fine, go talk. Sort this mess out. His voice was flat, emotionless. Rebecca flinched at his tone but said nothing. In the hallway, I followed her silently to her room, the same room where hours earlier I discovered her with another man. The irony wasn't lost on me. She swiped her keycard and we entered. The room had been cleaned, all evidence of her afternoon tryst erased, but I could still feel it, the betrayal lingering in the air like a bad smell. Curtis hates me, she said, finally breaking the silence. He's hurt, I corrected. We all are. Rebecca sat on the edge of the bed, her composure finally cracking. I made a terrible mistake, Mike. I don't know what I was thinking. That's just it, I said, remaining standing. You weren't thinking about us at all. Rebecca's hotel room felt foreign now, contaminated. I remained standing near the door, unwilling to sit on the bed where, hours earlier, she had betrayed everything we built together. I don't even know where to start, she said, pacing nervously. How about the truth for once? My voice was calmer than I felt. How long has this been going on? She hesitated, just long enough for me to know what was coming wasn't the full truth. It was just this once, Mike, a momentary weakness. Trevor didn't seem to think it was a one-time thing, I countered. He said he didn't know you were married. How would he not know that if this was your first encounter? Rebecca's shoulders slumped. We've been talking for a few months, flirting. It started at a conference in Chicago. So this wasn't your first business trip rendezvous? She closed her eyes. No. The confirmation, though expected, still felt like a knife to the gut. I leaned against the wall for support. How many times? How many men? Just Trevor, 3 times. She wiped at a tear. I know that doesn't make it better. No, it doesn't. I shook my head in disbelief. 17 years, Becca, 3 kids. And you risked it all for what? Some excitement? An ego boost? It wasn't like that, she insisted. We grew apart, Mike. You're always working, always focused on the kids. When was the last time you looked at me, really looked at me, as a woman, not just a wife and mother? Anger flared within me. Don't you dare blame this on me. If you felt neglected, you could have talked to me. We could have worked on it together. Instead, you chose to lie, to cheat. I know, she whispered. I know that now, and I'm so sorry, Mike. More sorry than you can imagine. Sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? She flinched. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Rebecca. Our kids are going to be devastated. Curtis already hates you. Sophie will find out eventually. You've blown up our entire family for a fling with some guy from the Chicago office. Silence fell between us, heavy with 2 decades of shared history and the crushing realization that it might all be ending. What happens now? She finally asked. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I had loved since college, the mother of my children, a stranger now. I'm taking the kids home tomorrow, I said quietly. First flight out. Mike, please, she begged. We can work through this. Couples therapy, a fresh start, whatever it takes. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, I admitted. And without trust, what do we have? Her face crumpled. 20 years of love, a family, a history. A history you didn't value enough to protect. I moved toward the door. I need to get back to our kids. What are you going to tell Sophie? She asked anxiously. I paused, hand on the doorknob. I don't know yet, but unlike you, I won't lie to her. The flight home was quiet. Sophie fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster of our truncated vacation. Curtis sat with his headphones on, staring out the window, occasionally glancing at me with a mixture of concern and something else. Respect, maybe. I hadn't slept at all after my conversation with Rebecca. I'd returned to our room to find Curtis still awake, waiting. We're leaving tomorrow, I told him simply. First flight out. He nodded, relief evident on his young face. Good. Rebecca had come to the airport to see us off, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. Sophie had hugged her tightly, confused about her sudden departure. But why can't Mom come with us? She'd asked repeatedly. Mom has to finish her work here, I'd explained, the lie bitter on my tongue. She'll be home in a few days. Curtis had barely acknowledged his mother, giving her a stiff, one-armed hug before boarding without a backward glance. Now, as the plane began its descent into our hometown, I found myself thinking about what came next. The logistics of separation, the heartbreak of telling Sophie, the inevitable questions from family and friends. Curtis's voice pulled me from my thoughts. Yeah, buddy? Are you okay? His concern, so adult, so genuine, made my throat tighten. I will be, I promised. We all will be. He nodded, seeming satisfied with my answer. What happens when we get home? Is she coming back? I sighed, choosing my words carefully. She'll come back to the house, yes, but things are going to change, Curtis. Your mom and I need to figure out what's best for everyone. You mean divorce, he said bluntly. Maybe, I don't know yet. I ran a hand through my hair. But whatever happens between your mom and me, nothing changes how much we both love you and Sophie. He was quiet for a moment. For what it's worth, Dad, I think you're doing the right thing. We deserve better. His words, so wise beyond his years, were both heartbreaking and strengthening. He shouldn't have to deal with any of this, but his resilience made me proud. When we landed, Sophie woke up immediately, asking for Rebecca. The reminder that our family would never be the same cut deep. 3 weeks later, Rebecca and I sat across from each other in our kitchen, divorce papers between us. She'd moved into an apartment downtown. Curtis still barely spoke to her. Sophie was finally beginning to understand in her 10-year-old way that Mommy and Daddy wouldn't be living together anymore. I never wanted this, Rebecca said quietly, pen hovering over the signature line. Neither did I admitted. But here we are. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? Her eyes, once so familiar, now seemed to belong to a stranger. I considered the question carefully. Someday, maybe. For the kid's sake. But some things can't be undone, Becca. She nodded, accepting this truth, and signed her name. As I watched her go, I felt an unexpected lightness. The pain wasn't gone, far from it, but for the first time since that fateful day in Boston, I could see a future beyond the betrayal, a new beginning for me and my children. We would be okay, different, but okay. Ladies and gentlemen, since you've listened to the end of this story, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which state you're watching from. Let's see what percentage of elite viewers make it to the end. And please kindly turn your attention to the screen after this message. There you'll find a full playlist of thrilling stories, a subscribe button for the channel, and our most captivating story. Click, enjoy, and thank you.